Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Spotlight series, where we share current trends on the critical role resilience plays within organizations. I'm Pam Boris, your host and Chief Marketing Officer here at NICU. And joining me today is Dr. Adam Perlman, Chief Medical Officer and co-founder at NICU. Thanks for spending some time with us today, Adam. We really appreciate it.
Always enjoy doing this with you, Pam.
So I've got a question for you. We've all been through a lot recently, and life can be unpredictable, but resilience can help us overcome challenges. Can you share an experience where you've seen the power of resilience in action?
Certainly. Maybe we've never been in a moment in the recent past where it's been more critical to be able to be resilient, but I think sometimes we think about that in different ways, and we know that one of the ways to think about resilience is the ability to sort of bounce back from a challenging moment, a challenging experience. But how do we do that? Again, I think, people say it, organizations are saying, of course, in Equilibrium, we are deep into the science of how you do that, and we know there are all these different components that one can look at to actually support their ability to be resilient. But I would probably highlight one just for the purposes of this discussion, and that would really be how we manage our perspective on the events in our lives. And again, this is not to say that any of this is easy, but it is part of the key to being resilient and really living the lives that we want for ourselves. So, people view events in different ways. I think the pandemic is a perfect event. Even the way I could describe the way, let's say, a situation manifested. So in my case, when the pandemic first hit, we were stuck at home initially, of course. It happened to hit, as many of you, it must have for many of you, kind of during the spring break. And I actually have 5 children, and they all had come home, and actually with two boyfriends at the time. And so I could say this to you, my goodness, for like a 3-month period, I had 9 people in my house, and I had to get up every morning and get in line at 7 a.m. at Target and try to figure out, if I could get any toilet paper that day or whatever it might have been, and it was unbelievable, or I could say, my goodness, for 3 months, my daughter, for example, my oldest, lived with us. She hadn't lived with us for 8 years. I had an opportunity to be with my family and my children and my wife, of course, and connect in ways that, we'll maybe never have again. When again will we have a chance where all of us will be together, kind of living together for good and for bad, right? For that 3-month period. And so stopping in the moment and being able to say, okay, this is a challenging situation, but what can I be thankful for, even in the midst of this, without denying that it's challenging, right? It's not saying, let's just deny it. Let's be Pollyannish and pretend like this is all great. But even saying, in the midst of this, are there things that I can be thankful for? And that often is an antidote for that, for the moment. And in fact, they've even studied this and shown that one of the ways to grow from those moments is to be able to focus on gratitude or things that we can be thankful for, even again in the midst of a difficult moment. And so that's one of the things I try to do personally. It's one of the things I try to remind even my patients about while they're struggling with often very serious, difficult health-related conditions. And again, it's not to deny, because it's important to recognize how challenging the moment may be. But even in the midst, we have the capacity to sort of stop and say, okay, this is challenging, but there are some things that I'm thankful for right now. And literally listing them out in and of itself can be therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that personal story. And the gratitude that you talked about is so incredibly powerful, and perspective is important. And that's just a great example about what MeQ does. We help people address root cause thinking, overcome obstacles, and be their best in work and in life, regardless of what life throws our way. And then by cultivating a resilient workforce, we create a culture of adaptability, innovation, and growth. MeQ is here to partner with you and drive sustainable long-term success. What steps have you taken to build a more resilient workforce? Share your thoughts at events@mequilibrium.com, and let's continue the conversation. And please visit resilience2023.com to see all of our upcoming programming. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.